Have you ever felt like you've done all the hard work to heal, to rebuild yourself from the ground up, only to have it all come crashing down in an instant? I want to share a story from a man named Tim, who at 35 feels like he's forgotten who he is. Maybe his story will resonate with you too. For 2 years, Tim was crawling out of a dark pit. This pit was the end of a long, painful relationship with his ex. When they broke up, he lost everything: his motivation, his hobbies, his sense of self-worth. He spent the next 24 months rebuilding his entire life, got back into hiking, started drawing again, and committed to therapy. He did everything you're supposed to do to find happiness again. It was an emotional marathon, but he genuinely felt like he'd crossed the finish line. He felt happy, whole, and ready for whatever came next. A few months ago, feeling healed and strong, Tim decided to try dating again. That's when he met Jen, and she was amazing. Their connection felt special, different. They could talk for hours. Their values were aligned, and he truly thought, this is it. This is the reward for all my hard work. This is the peace I've earned. It wasn't some whirlwind romance. It was steady, genuine, and felt incredibly profound. They were only together for 4 months, but in that short time, he saw a future with her. Then last month, she ended it. There was no big fight, no dramatic reason. It was just a quiet, firm decision that completely broke him. Tim says this heartbreak is so much worse than the first one because of the sheer, crushing disappointment. It's not just about losing Jen. It's the feeling that 2 years of grueling emotional recovery have been completely wiped out. He feels like he's standing exactly where he was the day his first ex left him. Only now he's 2 years older, and his emotional shock absorption is gone. The worst part for him is the return of that relentless internal bully. His own mind has turned against him. It's thoughts like, you were only good enough for 4 months, or you're 35. Time is running out, and you failed the test, and the most painful one, you are fundamentally unlovable. He's plagued by nightmares, can barely sleep, and dreads waking up because he knows the cycle of self-doubt will start all over again. Well, he feels like the darkness ahead is just too massive, and he doesn't have the energy to fight his way out a second time. His question is one I think many of us have asked. How do you start over when you feel like you just spent years starting over? This story hits so hard because it touches on a fundamental misunderstanding about healing. We often think of healing as a destination. You do the work, you cross the finish line, and you get a medal that makes you immune to future pain. But that's not how it works. Healing isn't a one-time event. It's a muscle, something you build, you strengthen, and you have to keep exercising. So, to Tim, and to anyone feeling this way, you are not back at square one. The resilience you built over those 2 years is not gone. It's just buried under a fresh layer of pain. You're not starting from the same place you were 2 years ago. You're experiencing a setback from a much higher starting point. The fact that you were able to heal once is proof that you have the capacity, the tools, and the strength to do it again. Think of it like this. If you trained for a marathon, ran it, and then took a few months off, your first run back would be hard. Your muscles would ache. You'd feel out of shape. You might even think all that training was for nothing. But it wasn't. Your body still remembers. Your cardiovascular system is still stronger than when you first started. You know what it takes to get back into shape, and you'll get there much faster the second time around. Emotional resilience is exactly the same. The pain from a shorter relationship can feel even more invalidating because our brains tell us we shouldn't be this upset. It was only 4 months, but the length of the relationship doesn't determine the depth of the connection or the pain of its loss. What Tim is mourning isn't just the 4 months with Jen. He's mourning the future he envisioned, the hope he had, and the validation he thought he'd finally earned. He's mourning the perceived failure of his own recovery. That internal bully, the voice of self-doubt, gets loudest when we're vulnerable. It feeds on our pain. The key is not to fight it head-on, because that gives it more power. The key is to acknowledge it, and then gently turn your attention to something else, something small and practical. Right now, the idea of climbing another mountain of healing feels impossible. So don't look at the mountain. Just look at the very next step in front of you. What is that next step? It's not get over it or be happy. It's something tiny. It could be putting on your hiking boots, even if you don't leave the house. It could be picking up a pencil and drawing a single line on a piece of paper. It could be making your bed in the morning. These small actions are votes for the person you want to be. They're small reps that begin to strengthen that healing muscle again. And remember, if these feelings of hopelessness become overwhelming and you feel like you don't want to keep going, it is so important to reach out for help. It's a sign of strength, not weakness. Please, don't go through this alone. So now I want to turn the question over to you. For anyone who has ever felt this kind of emotional relapse, that feeling of your healing being erased by a new heartbreak, what was the one small practical thing you did to start strengthening your healing muscle again? What was that first tiny step you took to quiet the inner critic and start moving forward? Share your wisdom and your stories in the comments below. Your experience could be the lifeline someone else needs to see today. Thank you for listening, and please be kind to yourselves.